how's it going? Today is October 19th. Off to a great start. Mercury has gone direct. Later on today or tonight, there will be the full moon in Aries, which I am looking at here. And Jupiter went direct over the weekend. It's been quite animated. We also have a Mars-Pluto square coming up this week, which will be tricky. That's on Friday. But I figured I would wait until Mercury went direct to do the reading, just so we had that, positive push forward energy. But I want to talk about the full moon a little bit, because it's an interesting one. It's good and bad. It's challenging. Let's put it that way. It's like one of those, like, nothing good ever came easy. We know all about that. So this is a challenging moon. It's challenging because, so we have the moon over here in Aries, sun opposite here in Libra. This sun is conjuncting Mars in Libra. So that's kind of super powered. What's uncomfortable is that there is a Mars-Pluto square, which is not nice. And there was one that happened already in Aries season. So this will probably be an echo of some sort of power struggle that you had during Aries season. And it's also T-squaring the moon and sun. So that makes Pluto a tricky figure in this, a crucial figure. I mean, he's up here with his arms extended at the top of the chart, right? Like throwing pebbles for everybody along their path. Now, why this is and isn't a problem is because we have Jupiter here, which is now direct, who is sextiling the moon. It's a little bit wide, but I'm going to let it count because it's Jupiter, so he's bigger, so he casts a wider shadow. And then Jupiter trining the sun here. So ultimately, for our better good, but the good comes through the challenge. Now, let me read to you these Sabians because they're kind of funny. It's like every time I have to prepare these readings, you always want them to be good, right? And when I read the Sabians, I was like, oh, seriously? So anyway, it's kind of funny. It's funny because it's true. So 28, the degree that the moon is sitting on, the Sabian is a large, disappointed audience. And then the sun, the degree where the sun sits on, the Sabian is a man alone in deep gloom. Unnoticed angels are coming to his aid. Right? Now, it's that second line that gives us a little bit of hope because otherwise it's just kind of like really depressing. But we've been dealing, like this keeps coming up in the cards for the last few weeks about this idea of being disappointed, not getting what you want, things not moving as quickly as we like. And part of what we're learning right now is because we're all kind of like in a new baby stage in some part of our life where we've started something new and we're still learning how to walk, right? And as Aries, we're expecting to run, but our muscles aren't developed. And so this is that kind of process. Like if you think about how a butterfly is born, inside the chrysalis, it has to push its way out of the cocoon. And that's not an easy process. It's hard. I mean, he's literally using these poor little wings to try and open things up. And it's the struggle against the cocoon that builds the muscle in the wings that allow them to fly once they're finally able to get out. Right? And so I don't think this is any different. Now, what happens is what you will most likely come across is a power struggle. There is someone, something, a situation that is more powerful than you that you can't do anything about. And because it's squaring Mars, this is a lose-lose situation, right? It's like if I blow up and you blow up, neither one of us wins. And it's just going to be a war, a pointless, bloody, miserable war. Now, when that happened back in Aries season, when Mars is in Aries, that's supercharged right there. And that was a fight. So that was like Aries was ready to throw down and it looked like it was going to get bloody, right? Now Mars is over here. Mars is in Libra. So he wants to be diplomatic. I mean, he doesn't want to, but he's going to have to. And so whatever the situation is where you're not getting what you want, or things aren't moving as quickly as you would like, or wherever you're feeling kind of oppressed or like kept down by life, the answer is A, in kind of like creative thinking, and B, in finding the diplomatic solution, right? So it's like, all right, I can't get what I want because whatever this situation is blocking me from getting what I want, or it's creating a situation where something in my life is going to be lived negatively. I have brand new neighbors who just moved in like 3 days ago and have decided to do construction on their apartment, only I'm giving a series of talks from my living room, right? So I can't do anything about their extreme noise while I'm trying to do my lessons. The only thing I can do is try and find a diplomatic solution with them to say, hey guys, can you not work during this hour, and this hour? And if they say no to that, then find a way like, okay, well, could I pay for that extra hour? Or can I, do I have to book somewhere else? So really coming up with alternatives, like wherever you're feeling blocked, whatever you're not getting, the point of it is to push you to seek out the alternatives. And we had that during sort of this Mercury retrograde period, which invited us to go in, rediscover, rethink, reconsider. And now it's like we have all these, we're trying to work through the options. What are our options? What else can I be doing right now? And there's two kind of main points I want to talk about. One was that the things not coming to us quickly. And this is very much a moment of every drop counts, right? So if you're like, no, I wanted clients of 100,000, or I wanted this to be much bigger. Well, right now, focus on getting the 5,000, because this is one of those situations where we're learning, different from our Aries-ness, to build small growth consistently over time. That's what we're practicing, how to learn how to be consistent in our plans, how to consistently deliver, creating a system or a process that we're able to show up at consistently all the time, not just like totally here for 2 days and then gone for a week, right? We're creating a system where we're able to show up consistently, smaller, every single day without fail. So this is one of those times where it doesn't really matter what you do as long as what you're doing is contributing to the big picture. So if it doesn't bring you 100, but it brings you 5, that's great. Then do that. Because whatever that thing that's not able, that you can't achieve right now, or that's blocking some situation in your life, it's pushing you to come up with alternatives. That's why this moon here, this sun is supercharged by the Mars in Libra. It's all about better ideas, creative ideas. What else can I say? How else can we look at this? How can I balance this out? What's the diplomatic solution? As opposed to just like blowing things up. So that was one point I wanted to say. The other is that this energy here, I would like you to kind of like memorize it on your skin and remember what it feels like to go into a diplomatic place for a couple of reasons. First, as of today, we are in the eclipse season zone. They're earlier this year. They start on November 19th. So, that brings high drama. It brings pressure. It brings like, I feel like it's kind of like this compulsion to make decisions. And you want to stay calm during eclipse season because we can be overwhelmed by the energy and the emotion and the strength of it and end up making decisions that aren't completely thought through. Doesn't mean they're bad, and they may ultimately be the decisions that we needed to make, but it's always easier to make drastic changes in baby steps as opposed to just burning down the house. So you want to keep in mind that A, we're now in eclipse season, so there's that. And then B, Mars is about to move into Scorpio. Mars and the Sun are about to move into Scorpio, and we all know what that means. It's great for our will. It's great for our determination. It's great for the sexy time also, but it can also make us extremely emotional in very high drama ways, not like Pisces or Cancer emotional. This is like It was from Breakfast at Tiffany's when she called it the mean reds, right? You're sad and you don't know why. It's like this weird pervasive energy that can make you very pessimistic, very gloomy. So you want to be very conscious of that energy coming at you and try and remember what it is to be Mars in Libra, and to not get sucked into the emotional trap, to not get sucked into the polarized thinking it's either this way or that way. You want to find the nuanced space where everybody wins. Where is the place where we both come out of this as survivors instead of both of us destroying each other? And so you want to hold on to this energy for the rest of the year, because the next 6 weeks are going to be a bumpy ride. The nodes change at the beginning of December. There's lots of movement. But again, as I said, the reason why I'm hopeful is that because we have all of this trining and sextiling to Jupiter here. And that's very nice. It's also Jupiter in Aquarius, so that's a very giving and a very generous Jupiter. And yeah, so that's it. Find the diplomatic solution. Think of if there's a total blockade, something you can't go, something that's overpowering you, find what's the other option. What else can I do? Just let it go. Don't engage, right? Which is, of course, the opposite of what Scorpio is going to want us to do, which is why I say now, please be aware of what's coming up and try and remember what it feels like to be Mars in Libra. What's the diplomatic solution? What are the options? How can I think about this like creatively? Like, where can all of us get what we need? What's the fair and balanced solution? Which the next few weeks of energy is not going to want to help you out with, because it's going to be Pluto, and Pluto's all about extremes. Either I win 10-0 or nothing. And we're going to try and find, this is one of my bosses said to me, you want to win 4-3 as opposed to 10-0. Like, you don't need to decimate your opponent to win. You just need one more point. So that's kind of the idea that I want to leave you with. And now let's go look at the cards. Hey, Aries, how's it going? Oh, we are here to do the tarot part for this full moon reading and current energies. I'm just going to jump into it because I've already done the whole astro piece, which I suggest you listen to if you want to get into it a little bit more. Otherwise, let's get the overall energy for Aries at this Aries full moon. Energy for Aries, Aries full moon. Okay, interesting. So it's about wisdom. And so it's like I was saying, like, you can be lured into a fight, right? Like somebody can be tempting you or challenging you or giving you power plays or trying to dominate you. How you deal with that, how you respond, is up to you. And that Sun and Mars conjunction in Libra is really asking you, trining Jupiter in Aquarius is asking you to be like the wisest version of yourself, the grown-up version. Because, you know, we have that side that's like, oh, I want to fight. And then there's the other one that's like, no, okay, hold on. What's the smart way to get out of this with the least violence for all involved? And that's what this card is about here. Really like bringing the light. And it's interesting that there's all these plants here. Okay, anyway, let's move on. All right, let's get the challenge energy for Aries, please. I'm gonna keep going. Challenge energy for Aries. One card. What's the challenge energy for Aries? Okay. The challenge is the Fool card. So, couple things. Challenge can be acting like the Fool, like, you know, do I just leap? Do I throw myself into it without even thinking about the consequences? Or do I think about things thoughtfully, consider how they will impact other people, what kind of light they bring to to the world, or do I just keep diving into things without like thoroughly thinking them out? And so this is very interesting. It's like, it's almost asking us to, I don't want to say betray our nature, but take our nature, like the beauty of our nature, to blend these energies. How can we still leap with wisdom, right? How do we face challenges, new beginnings, whatever, with the wisdom of all that we've experienced up till now, right? Also balancing the female and the male, Father Sky, Mother Earth, and how the effect that it has on the people around us, on the light we bring, on the universe itself, right? This guy's kind of like a little bit selfish and just tossing him into something, like with kind of these romantic, childish notions of like, oh no, it could be fine. And here it's saying that that's really, it's not the time for that right now. This is a time to be smart. This is a time to be thought through. This is a time to really consider thoroughly the impact that your energy has on you and also on the people around you. Let's get this. You know, and I said in the astro part about it is that Mars-Pluto square is really a lose-lose. Nobody wins there because, you know, Mars is the god of war. Pluto is like nuclear war. But even in the best case scenario with those two facing off, nothing good happens, right? So it's really about finding the win-win, using the best part of being an Aries, that creative invention, that light, that shine, that energy, but for the greater good. And that's that Jupiter in Aquarius. And that's where the full moon, I should have said this then, but it just came to me. So that's where it's like this oppression that may come from Pluto, or this obstacle, or this power struggle where you feel like you don't have a choice, is actually asking you to consider what is the greater good, right? Is it just good for me, or does this like end up with me falling off a cliff and on my face? What's the wise thing to do here? All right, let's get the lesson, please. Can I get the lesson for Aries at this full moon? And like I said, it's probably going to be an echo of a situation that came up. Yeah, okay. That came up in March. And here you have this deep freeze thing, like things coming out, things being frozen and feeling almost powerless in front of them. I'll read this in a second, but I was going to say that this current Pluto Mars square is sort of the second chapter, final chapter of the Mars Pluto square that there was at the beginning of the year. So you may find that there was a situation that happened then that is being repeated now. Only now you have the ability to deal with it in a smart way. I'll give you an example that a friend of mine is going through. In his company, he had a new key manager that came in that was not very welcomed by the old guard. New blood, old rules. And there was a huge power struggle here. And the power struggle has continued all 6 months. It hasn't really left. And he's been trying to find his way, trying to prove his worth, and making really good steps, helping this company move in the right direction. Only because this one up here, the old guard, the Pluto and Capricorn, doesn't want him, the new one, to be more powerful. He keeps trying to throw obstacles in his way at every path. Now they had there's like kind of a team around this guy. They had a very clear, and they see it's happening again. It's going to come to a head. There's the like kind of a big showdown meeting between this one and this one. And they were like, should we quit? right? Like as a group, should we just bail on this project and say we're out? And they said, no, maybe there's a better way we can do it. Like, where can we concede? Like, where do we need to win? And where can we concede? Knowing that he's never going to give us everything that we want. What are we willing to fight for? Like, what are the things we're not willing to give up on, and what are things we are willing to give up on? What's the diplomatic solution so that we can keep this project going because we really believe in it, right? So we don't want to throw ourselves off the cliff. We actually want to find a way to make it work together. And so that's kind of what they're going through now. So I thought that was very apt for the situation. Let me read this here. Okay, interesting. And this goes back to what I was saying before about this is not a time of giant leaps forward. This is a time of building small. One drop in the bucket still counts. So here it says, nothing you can do right now will amount to anything substantial, no matter how much you try, push, manipulate, or cajole. Life wants you to take a break. You need to do this now, lest you become exhausted and be forced to rest. What you need will be there for you when you emerge in the springtime. For now, winter has its own ideas for you. Wait for signs of spring, which is interesting because this is obviously the proverbial winter is coming. And I was doing some work with one of my energy healers, and she too was saying, she's like, the next couple of months are going to be kind of funny. The spring, but like you're still doing all the work. Do the work behind the scenes. The spring is really when things are going to start blossoming in March. So if anyone has like a big project going on, or something that they're stalled on, springtime is likely when you're going to start seeing the movement that you want to. Right now, and that's what all that kind of disappointment is. Right now is really the time to not get sucked into power struggles, not get sucked into the disappointment, not get sucked into that like all or nothing thinking, like it's either this way or that way, and think, okay, it's not going to grow now, it's going to grow then. What can I do now to keep planting these seeds, to make sure that when the frost is over, there's something to bloom there. So every little bit counts right now. Don't expect big wins, but also don't fall prey to potential disappointments. It's not all or nothing thinking will get you nowhere right now. Okay, so I'm going to do the cards a little bit differently. I'm going to pull a card for Pluto, the Sun, the Moon, and Mars. So this is my Pluto deck. Can I get Pluto's energy at this full moon? Pluto energy for Aries at this full moon. What's Pluto's energy? Okay. I was going to say quite reticent. All right, so we have the Lady of Vessels and the Lady of Coins. Interesting. So the two queens come up here. The Queen of Cups and the Queen of Pentacles. And, it's interesting because it's all about sort of balancing, literally, she's balancing on her head, the emotions and the earthly aspects, right? So not one of them dominates because we got two queens coming out. And the whole thing about Pluto, so there may be a woman who is getting in your way. The Pluto energy may come from a woman, may come from two women actually. But their intention, because Pluto is about transformation, no? Their intention is to bring these aspects into balance, balancing the concrete with the emotional. Now let's get some other cards here. Let's get the Sun. No, what did I want this to be? This was the Sun, that's the Moon, right? So Sun in Libra. Can I get a card for the Sun in Libra, please? card for Sun in Libra at this Aries full moon. Sun in Libra. See, it takes time. Cards take time. There we go. But then they show up. All right, so the Sun in Libra, all right, there we go, is the Six of Swords. So moving on from something, that's that disappointment. But remember, in the Sabian, let me just pull it up here again. The Sabian specifically says, a man alone in deep gloom, unnoticed angels are coming to his aid, right? So that's why I say don't get sucked into any sort of like disappointment things. There is a reason for everything. It's happening on purpose. It's meant to make you go through this process of finding this balance. You know, also like finding when to keep your emotions to yourself, when to offer of yourself, what to give yourself to. All right, can I get a card for the moon in Aries at this full moon? Okay. 10 of Swords. All right, so this is not surprising. Like I said, it's challenging. 10 of Swords is an ending. Moving on. This is that large disappointed audience. Remember, this one was more so than this. So there is clear disappointment here. Let me get the Mars and Libra, and then maybe I'll get a card for Jupiter too, to cheer us up, since that's the good one. Can I get Mars and Libra, please? Ooh. Six of Swords. I love it when that happens. You know, you always think things may be like a little accidental, and then when you get the exact same card from two decks, when these two planets are in conjunction, it's quite interesting. So it does say, now remember, this is the ending. So 10 of Swords, we always say, is like a shit card, but it means it's over. The worst has passed. It's done. I always take the 10 of Swords to read as just being done. And so this is that Aries moon situation. Something is done. And then over here we have this double Six of Swords in conjunction. Things are looking up, the end of a difficult situation, taking a trip. And then we have these two Pluto up here, these two women, transformative women, teaching us balance, teaching us how to balance our emotions and what to give to, where to spend our energy, what to offer of ourselves to other people, what we put out into the world, right? And then let me get a Jupiter card here. And you know what's so interesting to me is that there's so many females in here. The only male, besides the one driving the boat there, is the guy who you know, could potentially throw himself off the cliff here. So there's kind of a lot of like embracing sort of female wisdom. More nurturing, obviously. Can I get a card for Jupiter, please, in Aquarius at this moon? Always. Okay, interesting. So this is Chernunos, the life force. And he says, express your driving passion, sensual and sexual powers are increased. And that's definitely going to be happening when Mars moves into Scorpio. So there's a lot here, especially since the full moon isn't for a specific time. Be very aware of what it is that you're putting out in the world and how it affects people around you. Knowing that situations like Okay, so and that's also what this could be. Like in this war, they're equally matched, right? There is no winner between these two. So that's that Mars Pluto square. So somewhere in your life you have somewhere that is a potential lose-lose situation, and you are asked to take the smart route out, one that considers everybody, one that is a balanced decision emotionally and thought through, because we have all the swords here. Something is over, the worst is over, moving on to a new place. However, don't like be wary of the disappointment, because you're probably not going to see the seeds of what you've planted until the spring. And we do have kind of a challenging next 6 to 8 weeks coming up for us. Those 6, interesting, where we can be sucked into drama and may behave without thinking, or without thinking about consequences, and just kind of throw ourselves in. And this is really asking and advising to be conscious and to be balanced and to keep yourself centered and to be aware of what it is that you're offering to the rest of the world and of yourself as well. Now let me get one last final piece of advice here. And I think also, like, if I'm looking at these cards and how they play here, it's that you may also be coming out of a difficult situation that you kind of felt like took the life out of you. And you don't necessarily, it's like, it may even feel like too hard to start over, feel like it's too dangerous to start over. And what this card kind of tells me, because it's the opposite of this deep freeze also, even if we know that things aren't necessarily going to show up as like blossoming as we want to for another few months, that this is still the time to awaken that life force that's in you, to do the things that make you happy, to do the things that make you feel passionate, right? So wherever that block is going to come in, it might try and push you into a space of inactivity. And what this is saying is that you don't want to move into inactivity. You want to move into smart activity. What's the wise thing to do? It might be smaller than I expected, but what brings me the happiest? What makes me come alive? What brings up that sense of creativity, of co-creation with the rest of the universe, right? Where do I feel abundant emotionally and materially? Do more of that in small doses. All right, let me get one last advice card here, and then I'll let you go. Can I get some advice for Aries at this full moon? I think this came out last week. All right, so we have the Archangel Gabriel and turquoise with safe to be seen. I'm pretty sure we did get this at the last reading. And this is at 11, so it's like the one step past here, right? And I'll just read the beginning again for those who missed it. So we bring you the gift of safety in being seen. Over lifetimes you have loved the earth, returning again and again to serve humanity, liberate the human soul from fear, and spread a message of love. You have spoken truths, shared messages, and inspired many. Yet in your visibility, sometimes you have felt misunderstood and vulnerable. You have been admired and loved, but at times also feared and attacked for the empowering message you brought to the world. In you, there is a memory of this, and although you wish to share your light with the world again, there are times when the thought of being seen doesn't feel safe. We are here to let you know that you are protected in divine grace. It's safe to open up to your inner knowledge and to share your message with the world. The light in you is stronger than fear. It's time to shine fearless and bright. All right, so that's interesting. That's another take on this also, is that this Pluto energy that's coming in may you may feel is like trying to silence you or trying to keep you down, and you've come from such a like a difficult place that you don't necessarily have the energy to do it again, or there's a little bit of fear of things ending up in the same place. Plus you're not seeing this kind of movement that you would like to, or it's not happening as fast as you would like to. And what this is saying is that you see how all aligned these are, this safe to be seen wisdom, like there's all these very powerful figures here in the center, being powerful in what you have to offer, being powerful in your emotions, being the light that you bring to multiple dimensions of growth. And this is now safe for you to be in that space. That this Pluto energy, which may be trying to take you out, is really actually trying to push you forward into a more considered space. It's not reactionary, it's thought through, it's intentional, because that's what we've been learning, right? It's almost like some people get successful by luck, and this is no, you're now successful or will be resonating because of the methodical training that you've been going through by fire through the past 9 months. And so to find the way sort of to break this deep freeze, which will take time, is to find these things that make you happy, that make you feel alive, that make you feel balanced, emotionally balanced and centered and whole and grounded. But that you don't have to be worried about what you have to say, because now is sort of the time for you to share. Like that's what this whole process has been about, getting you to a point where you are comfortable with sharing what it is that you have to say, because you've been building it slowly and methodically and systematically. Okay, kind of all over the place, I know. Lots of messages in there for lots of different people, I think. Hope this was helpful for you, and I will see you again next week. Take care.